2026 is shaping up to be a huge year for horror games, bigger budgets, and scares that actually stick with you. From long-awaited releases to brand new titles ready to shake things up. Here are the 20 horror games ready to dominate gaming this year. Cthulhu: The Cosmic Abyss drops you into a chilling investigation from the moment it begins. You play as Noah, an occult investigator sent to look into the mysterious disappearance of miners deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The game focuses more on tension than action. You explore strange underwater facilities and ancient structures, look for clues, and slowly piece together what happened. It's first-person, slow-paced, and very quiet at times. That silence is what makes it uncomfortable, especially when you're never sure if what you're seeing is real or just messing with your head. Gameplay is mostly about exploration and investigation. You're solving puzzles, making choices, and trying to keep your sanity while uncovering the truth. It's not a fast game, and that's the point. The fear comes from not knowing what's out there and feeling completely powerless against it.
Your cortisol levels are elevated. Something's interfering, detecting temporal anomaly. Processing environmental data. Memory patterns are realigning.
The Twilight Project is one of the most anticipated indie horror games right now, and it's easy to see why. You play as a tourist who ends up stranded in a sealed-off village hidden deep in the woods. At first, it just feels abandoned. Then night falls, and the place shows its true face. The gameplay leans into classic survival horror. You explore the village during the day, look for clues, and try to understand what happened here. When night comes, everything gets more dangerous. Enemies roam freely, and you're forced to move carefully or hide. That day and night shift keeps the tension high without relying on constant jump scares. What's interesting is how survival is handled. You're not just running away, you're setting up safe areas and making choices that affect how long you can last. Every night feels like a test, and mistakes carry over instead of resetting cleanly.
Behind you.
Why did you shoot? Why did you shoot him?
The Mound Omen of Cthulhu is one of the most talked about horror games coming in summer 2026. A small group enters a cursed jungle looking for treasure, knowing people who tried before never returned. Before long, things stop making sense and the jungle starts fighting back. The gameplay mixes survival horror with co-op exploration. You move through dense environments, manage limited supplies, and deal with threats that aren't always clear or predictable. Sometimes the danger is a creature, Other times it's the environment itself messing with your head. Communication matters a lot here, because what you see might not be what your teammate sees. If you like horror that's unpredictable, tense, and feels fresh every time you play, the Mound Omen of Cthulhu is shaping up to be one of the scarier new entries worth playing. Cinder City opens after a massive collapse wipes out a modern city, leaving it burned, empty, and crawling with things that shouldn't be there. You're one of the few survivors trying to move through the ruins, figure out what caused everything to fall apart, and stay alive long enough to escape. Gameplay blends survival horror with third-person action. You're scavenging, managing limited resources, and dealing with enemies that can show up fast and hit hard. Some moments are quiet and tense. Others suddenly turn chaotic, which keeps you on edge. Movement tools and traversal options give you flexibility, but they don't make things safe. You still feel exposed most of the time. If you're looking for a new horror game that mixes action with a constant feeling that everything could go wrong at any second, Cinder City is shaping up to be one to watch.
Not just a runner, but a fighter, too. Had we met under a different moon, things might have ended Lunka?
The Blood of Dawnwalker starts in a brutal version of 14th century Europe, where war, plague, and vampires are all part of daily life. You play as Cohen, a man caught in between, human during the day, something else at night, trying to save his family while the world around him keeps falling apart. That setup alone already tells you this won't be a clean hero story. What makes the game interesting is how that day and night split affects gameplay. During the day, you play it more like a grounded RPG, using swords, planning fights, and talking your way through situations. At night, things shift. You move faster, hit harder, and rely on vampiric abilities that completely change how you approach enemies and exploration. It's being made by Rebel Wolves, a studio formed by former Witcher 3 developers, and you can feel that influence in the focus on story choices and world building. Liminal Point starts with a simple but unsettling hook. You play as Lyra, returning to a fog-covered island after getting a strange message from her missing bandmate. This place used to feel familiar, but now it's empty, broken, and clearly hiding something. The gameplay leans into classic survival horror in a smart way. Fixed camera angles, limited supplies, and slow exploration force you to stay cautious. The isometric view gives it a different feel, but it still delivers tension in a very hands-on way. What's interesting is how the developers balance nostalgia with modern design. You can tell it's inspired by older Resident Evil and Silent Hill games, but it doesn't feel outdated. Lighting, sound, and environmental detail do a lot of the heavy lifting, especially when nothing is happening and the silence gets uncomfortable.
I'll be waiting. In the place where hope turned to ash. So come and find me.
Hellraiser Revival kicks things off when a guy named Aiden messes with a strange puzzle box. And that single mistake sends his girlfriend into a nightmare world ruled by the Cenobites. From there, the goal is simple but terrifying. Find her, survive, and don't open doors you really shouldn't. If you know Hellraiser, you already know this isn't going to be a clean rescue story. Gameplay leans hard into survival horror. You're exploring dark locations, managing limited resources, and dealing with enemies that aren't always meant to be fought head-on. Some moments push you towards stealth, others force quick decisions under pressure. What makes this stand out is the development behind it. This isn't a quick cash-in. Clive Barker is directly involved, and Doug Bradley is back as Pinhead, which gives the game real authenticity.
You call for us, and you can no longer return. You can only journey deeper into hell and witness the infinite terror within. The reckoning will be...
Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly Remake, is easily one of the most anticipated horror remakes right now. The story alone is already a classic. Twin sisters Mio and Mayu wander into a cursed village and slowly realize the place is trapped in a ritual soaked in death. What makes this remake exciting is how it updates the original without losing its soul. You're still fighting ghosts with the camera obscura, which means you have to face the threat head-on instead of running or shooting. That mechanic is still terrifying, but now it's paired with better visuals, improved controls, and stronger sound design that makes every encounter feel closer and more personal. Koei Tecmo brought back key people from the original team to make sure the tone, pacing, and horror stay true. The goal isn't just nostalgia, it's to make the village, the spirits, and the story hit harder than ever on modern hardware.
Do you think this is... What happened?
The ritual will begin soon.
Everyone's dead. Mia, no, stay back, run away. Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly Remake.
Phantom Line doesn't start with ghosts hiding in a house. It begins in a world gone sideways after a nuclear war. You're part of an elite spec op unit called Mortfield Industries, sent into a post-nuclear European landscape full of unexplained paranormal events and dangerous anomalies. Gameplay is a mix of tactical shooting and horror tension. You'll explore open-world maps, deal with dynamic events, and face bizarre paranormal threats that pop up without warning. There's gunplay, gear-up moments, resource management, and combat that feels intense because danger can come from any direction. The developers are using playtests and player suggestions to refine animations, controls, enemy encounters, and the overall horror vibe. That means the creepy moments and survival tension you experience now are literally shaped by what players find scary or fun.
Atlas 1-1, this is Zeus. Do you copy? Over. We've detected the anomalous presence in the Iron Corridor area. We need you to localize it and contain it. There's a lot of blue and red activity there. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage.
End of Abyss starts with a simple idea that quickly turns uncomfortable. Something is wrong. deep underground, and nobody down there is answering anymore. You're sent in to check it out, and within minutes, it's clear this place wasn't abandoned peacefully. The team behind End of Abyss includes developers who worked on Little Nightmares, and you can feel that influence in the atmosphere. The horror isn't loud or flashy. It's built through lighting, sound, and the slow realization that the facility is changing the further you explore it. Early demos and showcases already show the game knows how to make players uncomfortable in a good way. What makes this game interesting is how it mixes horror with a top-down, twin-stick style. You're exploring tight corridors, scanning your surroundings, managing ammo, and deciding when it's smarter to move forward or back off.
You are one of the most perfect results of the experiment. Not everyone has powers like you, Elixia.
No matter how scary the outside world is, here, I'm no different from a lab rat. I'm ready to take risks for my freedom.
Psycho Dead isn't your typical haunted house game. It starts with Elixia, a girl with psychic powers who wakes up inside a secret facility where human experiments clearly went too far. You don't need a long intro to understand the situation. The environment already tells you everything is wrong, and whatever's roaming these halls is hunting you. The gameplay blends classic survival horror with psychic combat. Instead of just hiding or running, you can fight back using telekinesis. You throw objects, crush enemies, block attacks, and control space in ways most horror games don't allow. That doesn't make things safe, though. Resources are limited, enemies hit hard, and mistakes add up fast. With a 2026 release on PC and PS5, this one's shaping up to be a fresh horror experience worth watching, especially if you want something that mixes action with serious tension. Rules of Engagement plays with a scary idea right from the start. What if every kind of horror existed in the same place? Not a house, not a town, but an unstable dimension where monsters, urban legends, and unknown threats all collide. You're sent in as an operative, not to survive for story reasons, but to complete missions and get out before things turn into chaos. The gameplay blends tactical shooting with non-stop tension. You drop into dangerous zones, hunt for artifacts, and fight off horrifying creatures, all while knowing other players are doing the same thing nearby. This isn't a run-and-gun shooter. Positioning matters. Sometimes the smartest move is avoiding a fight altogether. What makes the game stand out is its scale and ambition. The developers are building a shared horror space where different myths and threats can exist together. Decrepit starts in a bad place, and it never really lets you forget it. You wake up locked inside a ruined castle, dragged down into the lowest parts of the dungeon, with no clear escape in sight. The enemies are everywhere, and the game makes it clear early on that surviving here is going to take patience. Gameplay is first-person and very hands-on. Combat is slow, heavy, and punishing in a Souls-like way. Every swing matters, every mistake costs you. When you die, the game doesn't reset politely. The castle literally drags you back down into the depths, forcing you to climb your way out again. That loop sounds brutal, but it actually works because you slowly learn the layout, enemy patterns, and shortcuts. Decrepit looks like one of those games that won't be for everyone, but for the right player, it could be seriously intense.
Then we see what is really there.
The Occultist begins with a missing person case that feels way too quiet to be normal. You're Alan Rebels, a paranormal investigator tracking down your missing father on the foggy, deserted island of Godstone, a place abandoned since a cult vanished decades ago. The streets are eerie, old buildings empty, and ghosts or worse seem to stalk every corner of this place. Instead of guns or brute force, the game gives you a strange pendulum as your main tool. You use it to interact with the environment, solve puzzles, and deal with things that shouldn't exist. You're not charging forward, you're creeping, and deciding whether it's safer to hide or push through. From a development standpoint, the team clearly wants atmosphere to lead the experience. The island is designed to feel isolated and uncomfortable, with lighting and sound doing most of the work instead of cheap jump scares. MINSK drops you into a post-apocalyptic world where humanity's last hope seems to be a lone android exploring toxic, ruined cities. You aren't some fully armed soldier, you're a robot built by an engineer trying to survive, and your mission is to find resources, uncover what caused the collapse, and maybe reconnect with another robot you meet along the way. The gameplay puts you in a third-person survival horror adventure with action and exploration mixed in. You're moving through towering ruins and fog-covered streets, scouting for supplies and dodging dangers. Traversal and resource management play a big role. You have to think before sprinting into unknown areas, and that uncertainty keeps every moment interesting. The project hasn't announced a release date yet, but the demos and footage so far show something that could shake up the horror genre in a fresh way. Halloween starts in a way that's very familiar if you know the movies. quiet streets, empty houses, and that feeling that something is wrong, even when nothing is happening yet. You're not thrown into nonstop action. Instead, the game takes its time setting things up, which actually makes it more uncomfortable. Gameplay mixes tactical horror with stealth and survival. You can choose to play as Michael Myers himself, creeping through suburbs, stalking victims, and turning himself into a nightmare. Or flip the script and play as one of the civilians trying to escape, warn neighbors, or get help. The team is working closely with the original creators, including John Carpenter, to make sure it feels like Halloween. That means the focus is on atmosphere, pacing, and fear, not flashy mechanics or over-the-top moments. The Midnight Walkers starts with a simple problem. You went in for supplies, and now you just want to make it back out alive. The entire game takes place inside a massive, abandoned mega-complex where zombies roam the halls, and danger can come from anywhere, including other players. Gameplay follows an extraction-style loop. You go in, grab what you can, and try to escape before things out of control. If you die, you lose what you picked up, which makes every decision feel risky. Do you push deeper for better loot, or play it safe and head out early? That constant choice keeps the pressure high the entire time. From a development standpoint, the game leans hard into replayability. Random events, different enemy types, and unpredictable encounters mean no two runs feel the same. Animal Use Protocol starts in a messed-up research facility where things went horribly wrong. You play as Pen, a hyper-intelligent chimpanzee, trying to lead other lab animals out of a nightmare lab called Anchorage Station before whatever lurks in the shadows gets you all. You're not a soldier or a hero with a gun. You're an animal caught in a place full of unanswered questions and dangerous secrets, and that setup already puts you on edge the moment the screen loads. The game's horror comes from its first-person survival vibe. You have to scavenge, solve puzzles, manage limited resources, and think carefully about every move you make. Enemies aren't always predictable, and that gravity manipulation tool you get isn't just for puzzles. It becomes a way to defend yourself when things go sideways.
Very good. Better than smelly cake. Better than run, run, run. Paralyzed terror. Smelly cake, run. Run, 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 run.
DreadOut 3 drops you back into the nightmare right where DreadOut left off. This time, Linda Melinda, now known as a Keeper of the Dark, gets pulled into an interdimensional rabbit hole while chasing a mysterious force that's threatening the balance between light and dark. You're not just walking through a haunted town anymore. You're crossing into spiritual realms and facing things that shouldn't exist, and that story hook alone sets a creepy mood from the first moment. Gameplay keeps that slow, unsettling tension alive by blending survival horror with exploration in a third-person view. You'll wander day and night through eerie Indonesian villages and spiritual pockets, solving puzzles and using the iris phone mechanic to switch between first and third-person views. That tool isn't just for scares. It lets you find clues, interact with ghosts, and uncover urban legends hidden deep in the world.
Tell me what's going on.
Mom, I'm scared.
Grace.
They're coming.
You there, Leon?
Yeah.
Hey, over here. FBI, what are you doing here?
Would you like to see what's hidden under the hood?
Don't do anything stupid.
Me? Never.
Resident Evil Requiem drops you right into a new chapter of the Resident Evil saga, where fear and chaos are everywhere. The game follows FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft, who's pulled back to a creepy hotel tied to her past, only to uncover a wave of mysterious deaths. And things get even worse when veteran agent Leon S. Kennedy shows up too. You're not dropped into an easy story, it puts two very different characters into a nightmare you'll want to survive. Gameplay mixes classic Resident Evil horror with fresh action. Grace's segments lean into tense survival mechanics where every bullet and step counts, like older titles did, while Leon's sections bring more intense combat and new melee options that feel right at home after Resident Evil 4. That contrast keeps the pace unpredictable. One moment you're sneaking through silence, the next you're dodging a chainsaw.